Today we're going to be working on changing out the driver's side CV axle of this 2005 Dodge Caravan. The chrome covers on these lug nuts have deformed over the years, causing them to jam inside my socket. I'm sure anyone who has dealt with this understands the struggle. Next thing we need to do once we have the wheel off is we need to take this cotter pin off and this locking ring, and we'll use a big socket to get the nut off of that axle. You can rent these from AutoZone. Pretty nice system they have there. As you can see, that tear in the boot, that's why we're changing this out. I don't know how long it's been running with that boot torn, so we're going to go ahead and just replace the entire axle. This particular axle uses the 32 millimeter axle nut socket, and we'll go ahead and use our 1/2 inch impact to pull that off of there. Next step, we're gonna these upper bolts of the steering knuckle off so we can let this pivot forward on the lower ball joint. All right, as you can see, we got the 2 bolts out. Here they are. They were stuck on there pretty good, had a little bit of rust on the threads. Got a piece of wire here holding that goes from the top hole there on the steering knuckle to the spring. Just to keep tension off of that brake line there. Now I got this rolled forward, and I can push the axle out of its splines. They're going through the bearing and the brake rotor, and then we'll have to pry it from the transmission. So I have a big bar here to hopefully make the job easy. At least half of it. There we go. Lots of grease back there. Lots of grease. It was running dry. Let me see if I can't just jam it. Oh. I'm gonna have to go ahead and get a jack stand because I don't want to roll under there with just the jack under there. All right, I wasn't quite ready for the fluid loss, so make sure you have a pan under there. I'll have to get some oil dry out. Got the new shaft inserted into the transmission. Now I got to finagle this end through the hole here. It came with a new nut, with a new locking ring and cotter pin. So make sure that you inspect everything before you insert this, and go ahead and just reverse the process of taking it out. All right, just a little bit of a fight to get that around all the components there on the back side and get it inserted into its hole. Had to stretch that brake line out a little further than I was comfortable with. So now I'm getting these bolts put back in, top and bottom, and then we'll put the axle retaining clip and nuts all on and throw the tire back on, and we'll give it a run down the road and see how it works. So here's the ring that came, or that was on the vehicle, and here's the one that came with the kit. I like this one a little bit better, so I'm going to reuse this one. It seems a little bit heavier duty, a little heavier gauge material, and I'm just going to reuse I'm going to use the new cotter pin and bolt, but I'm going to reuse this retaining clip. Torqued. clean up that brake rotor and throw the wheel back on. And I got to make sure I torque the strut bolts to the steering knuckle. All right, so strut nuts torqued. I got the axle nut torqued, and I almost forgot, I need to measure out how much fluid I lost and put some transmission fluid back in here. Get the wheel back on, and we'll go for a drive. Well, after taking this for a quick drive and checking underneath, it seems that everything is good to go. I don't hear any clunking anymore. Everything seems to drive nice and smooth, no leaks. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up and say that we fixed it. It's been a couple weeks now since I fixed this van, and it's still working great. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.